Greetings all you maniacs with minds on our crimes. Welcome back to another Warframe's Ins and Outs. Today, we're talking about Atlas. Because I just feel like talking about Atlas and, Atlas Prime in this case because, well, I've really been enjoying playing him. Anyway, Atlas is a very good frame. He's very powerful, very fun, most of the time anyway. And he's just cool. His entire concept is pretty cool to me. But I do have a little nitpicks and some things that I would change about him. So first and foremost, we got to talk about his passive. So, he is immune to knockdown when he is on the ground. This is great for people like me who absolutely despise being pulled onto the ground by a scorpion or something like that. Thank God. Anyway, his first ability is the ability everyone knows about. Yeah, the one punch thing. So, alright. And this is where this build comes in. So this is my Umbra build. This is, I just want everything. Duration isn't super important on him. Power strength really isn't either with the right stat stick, but I still put good power strength there anyway, just so my rumblers are pretty tough, which is his fourth ability. But yeah, anyway. This is a more normal build, and this is the build I'm going to use for the test. This is a build, just normal. It will get the job done, like no problem. 135% power strength is more than enough, and 220% range is a bit much because his third ability, Petrify, if it'll actually show, stones enemies, makes enemies turn into stone. It has 30 meters with this build, and also your landslide is a lot further than it says. It's pretty huge. Like, the amount of, just sliding between enemies that you can do with this build is crazy. His 2 we don't talk about because it's absolute garbage. And I have an augment idea that Brozheim talked about and I agree with. It sounds freaking awesome. Where you petrify it and then you turn it into a shotgun. That'd be sick when you punch it. But that doesn't happen. Anyway. His 1 and 3 are the abilities that people use the most. Anyway. This build, plenty of armor, plenty of health. You don't really need energy. Efficiency is important. And if you feel the need, if you don't have overextended, or if you don't have any mod, if you want to replace Augur Reach with, say, something like Transient Fortitude or something like that, or replace Transient Fortitude with, like, Blind Rage, and then you could put in, like, Fleeting Expertise or some other efficiency mod. Those are the only two streamlined. Fleet and expertise. You could do that, but you really do not want duration too low, because right here the stone duration is 15 seconds, and if I were to go ahead and put on fleet and expertise, it goes all the way down to 3 seconds, which is not good. Normally that's fine, but still. Anyway. Oh, real quick, I have to talk about a stat stick. So this is my Kuva hammer. This is my stat stick build. Now, this is just raw damage. Also, this hammer has a bonus to impact. And it's to note that Atlas's fists can proc status, but they are all impact. I'm not sure on the crit chance, crit damage, and status chance, but they're all pretty low. And with this build, you're going to crit every now and then. You're not going to be critting all the time. If you get a buff from a cat, you are definitely going to be critting, and then your fists do way more damage. Anyway, just build corrosive on it. Screw everything else. Flat, raw damage. Collision force is a good choice. Heavy trauma is a good choice, but a better choice, if I had the resources to do it, is primed heavy trauma. This will give you way more damage. Also, I know some people are screaming at me, Venka Prime. I don't have, and I don't care. I mean, if I want to be Wolverine, I can just play Valkyr. The Venka Prime don't really interest me. Anyway. Let's show what this thing can do against level... Remember, this is the weaker build. Level 125 Corrupted Heavy Gunners. I'll go down to 80 for more normal gameplay. So I just freeze them, and then you just do this. This is Atlas. Not dead yet. This takes a bit. There we go. Oh, also, You notice now that I have more armor. It's because when you kill petrified enemies, they turn into rubble. Yeah, Atlas literally wears the bones and flesh of his enemies to make them tougher. It's pretty messed up stuff. But besides that, besides Mr. Punchy Medusa here, the armor decays. It used to be a lot faster. It is a bit slower. I don't know what determines how fast it decays. I don't think you can mod for it. But the max is 1,500 bonus armor. And that is a lot of armor to have on Atlas, plus adaptation and an Umbral build. You're looking upwards of about 3,000 to 4,000 armor, which is a lot. And also, when you are landsliding, you are invincible. And nothing can stop you. So, that's how that performs against level 125. So, once I drop the levels down, I'd say Atlas is better against enemies that are like lower than 100, but he can definitely perform. So yeah, I don't know why the skeletons bug out like that. So as you saw there, I was proccing status. The enemies are not immune to status anymore that they were petrified. It used to be like that. I used to play Atlas way back before Atlas Prime was even a thing. I used to play Atlas like I'd say 5-6 months ago. And that was a big problem. But now you can actually proc status on enemies, so there's that. Why don't you just build viral, you say? Don't. It's actually really, really bad. So let's see what the Umbral build looks like against these level enemies. And I will do a test where they're unpaused. I'll just spawn in some normal ones. So this is a fuck ton of armor. So take this and then add 1,500 to it. Yeah, that's a fuck ton of armor. And if you have health conversion, that's even more armor. But you don't really need to do that with Atlas because he's going to be tanky as fuck. Especially if you have double Arcane Guardians max rank. Yeah, Atlas has a shit ton of armor. And it's good that he has so much armor. Because he is a frame that is in the enemy's face all the damn time. Also, you might be curious about his rumblers. They run around, punch dudes, and spit rocks. And when you activate it, there will be an AoE that petrify enemies. So there is that. So anyway, let's just see what the Umbral build can do. So the power strength makes a bit of a difference. But as you can see, it does take a little bit with this build. It's probably my stat stick. I know I don't have the whole, best stat stick. I don't have the best mods for it. And I'm pretty sure a plus impact ribbon would actually be a good thing. But let's put these guys down to 80. Oh, by the way, I have to compliment that Atlas Prime looks so much better than his normal counterpart. Because normal Atlas had a fucking pinhead. So this is his performance at level 80. Keep in mind, those are corrupted heavy gunners, and they are tougher than most enemies in the game. So let's actually spawn in a bunch of level 80. Let's go let's go level 90. And let's spawn in some normal Grineer enemies that you will see basically every single day. So I'll be right back. Alright, so let's go. Okay. And then I just do this, and they're all frozen. They die super fast. Oh, I even have the cat buff, so this is even more real world. So one punch. Atlas's 3 is really goddamn evil because it goes through walls. I'll do this without the cat buff too. Also, Atlas's rubble heals him. So you should not be dying as Atlas. Yeah, I didn't even need to petrify her. So yeah, and 15 armor, and now when I do the test, I'm going to be really goddamn tough. I'll actually let these guys shoot me, or maybe I'll spawn in some higher level enemies and just show you how tough Atlas actually is. So, for most of these enemies, I don't even need to petrify them, but I do anyway because they take more damage from his one, so you can see that. Instantly freeze, and it goes through walls, as I mentioned. This is what it does to a bombard. They are really goddamn tough. Oh, you want to start some shit? You're frozen anyway, so die. There we go. So, as you can see, Atlas is plenty tough. You do not need to worry about Atlas taking any damage. So, let me spawn in some Corrupted Heavy Gunners and show you just how goddamn tanky Atlas can actually be. You tickle. And remember, doing this, their teammates can't do anything, and I'm just going to get my health back. So what happens when Atlas goes on the field? The enemies are turned into stone, and they are broken into thousands of pieces, bolstering his armor with dead bits of enemies, and the enemies just can't do anything to him. I don't think I've ever gone down as Atlas. He is goddamn tanky. Like, seriously, you could just let enemies wail on you and they really can't do much. Unless the levels are absurdly high. I'm talking 200, 300 plus. But I mean, this is like fucking Nezha levels of tanky. Actually, no, Nezha's tankier. But this is just... And this is just raw armor. There's no damage reduction. There's only adaptation, too. Wait, was adaptation even proccing? I didn't even see if adaptation was proccing. It might have not been. I don't even have adaptation on this build. Okay, so let's see what this hilarity looks like when I have adaptation. I'm going to have to spawn in some more trash enemies to get my stuff. But I'm going to have to drop flow, and then I'm going to have to put on... I need the range, man. I need the range, because the range is so good. So yeah, I didn't even have adaptation. The other build has adaptation, but I just want to show the absolute monster that Atlas can be. So I'll be right back once I got all my armor. Alright, here we go. 1300 armor plus adaptation with all this umbral stuff. That is hilarious. You enemies think you can harm Atlas. That's so funny. Poor you. And then he just gets all his health back. You see what I mean when Atlas is... When I say Atlas is tank? Like, seriously. And they can't knock me over either. Oh, cat buff, you shouldn't have. Yeah, if Atlas's fists had like crits, or you could mod his fists directly, that'd be great. But you can't, unfortunately. So, that's Atlas in a nutshell. He is tanky as all fuck. He is a very powerful frame. And he's good. He's very, very good. Now, what would I change? The only ability I would change is this too. This wall right here is useless as fuck. You press it again, you can roll it. And then with your 3, you can petrify it. It rolls faster, explodes harder, and does more damage. Instead, I would say keep the wall. But you could put out multiple walls. And you could petrify them and then punch them and either send them at terminal velocity or shatter them into a million pieces that do a lot of slash damage. And whatever you have on your melee weapon as status. That might sound insane. I know you're thinking, holy shit, everyone's going to be running viral, and it's just going to be this Stonewall slash meta. Well, it would make Atlas's 2 a lot more interesting than it is. Also, his rumblers, I wish they could utilize their full health. You can heal them with your 3, if you didn't know. These guys are pretty goddamn tough, and they really only serve one or two purposes. One purpose is do this, and you can get a quick boost to your armor. You get that. You get 100 armor. But also, they will distract enemies, and they will kill trash mobs. Also, they will do more damage to enemies that are petrified. And there's that. And when they explode, they do blast damage, but they don't knock enemies over. If they knocked enemies over, that'd be cool. But they really just run around, punch dudes, and spit rocks. Life goals, to be honest, like that's perfect life right there. Just run around, punch dudes, spit rocks, chill out with Atlas. Sick. Either case, I really enjoy Atlas. He's a ton of fun. Just petrifying an entire wave of enemies. Remember, this build right here, well, right now it is 20 meters of range, but this build has fucking 30 meters of range. So you can just 30 meters, everything, including enemies behind walls, are petrified. And when you punch them, it's like a shockwave. Every single enemy gets beaten to just freaking rock pulps. And it's great. Will I put an Umbral Forma into Atlas? I don't know, honestly. I could. I could put like another Forma into him, like a dash here, and then probably do something about this duration or put more range on. Probably put a D polarity. Then I could fit over extended again. But of course, you can just take off adaptation because he doesn't technically need it, because I've used this against high level missions going after a new Lich, and I didn't notice any danger. So adaptation is kind of moot, but do what you want. Some people say, oh, take off Umbral Fiber and put on normal Steel Fiber, and Umbral Fiber isn't that great, but I think it's good. I think it's completely fine because boosts all the mods here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this ins and outs of Atlas Prime. He looks very, very nice. I am loving my fashion. This whole Arctic camo look I've got going on. I don't know why. I've always liked Arctic camo. I've always thought it looked super cool. It's not just his looks. He's also great. He's a very good frame. Is he, super overpowered? No. Is he good? Oh, yes, he is. He is very good. It's unfortunate that your allies can't also benefit from his armor. Maybe there'd be an augment where the portion of armor that Atlas picks up from killed enemies goes to your teammates to give them extra armor. Oh, that would be sick. That'd be super sick. And if they need healing, they get healing. That'd be awesome. Just that augment right there would make Atlas a super good support. He's a little greedy. He wants to kill enemies that he petrifies, but as long as there's enemies being petrified and him killing them, he's fine. He's got his snacks. He's got everything he needs. And not to mention, he has an augment that drops extra loot. So if you have Atlas, you have a loot frame, which is great. I have Korra, so I don't need Atlas to do that. Korra is my loot girl. Korra is the bae for loot for me. Korra is also pretty fun to play. I might do a ins and outs on her soon. Any case, long-winded explanation. The ins and outs of Warframe videos like this are going to be longer just because Warframes have a lot more going on than weapons most of the time. Some Warframes are super simple. Some not so much. Atlas is a bit complicated. But if you have the Venka Prime and if you have all the mods I mentioned, like Primed Heavy Trauma, completely maxed, then you can do that. I don't. It is unfortunate that you need a stat stick for him because I love melee so much now. And goddamn, this Kuva hammer is so goddamn fun. It's not as good as the Archititron, of course, but it's very, very powerful. I wish you could mod his fists. Maybe eventually. I know that'd be funny. It's like, oh, he's got exalted fists. What the hell? I know. But imagine if Mesa needed a stat stick for her regulators. That'd be weird. That'd be annoying. Also, I wish Mesa was more fun to play. So, let me know what you think of Atlas. And I love him. I love him. He's fun. He's very, very fun. I don't care what anyone says. He's fun. That's all I care about. Is the frame fun? Is the weapon fun? I don't care what it can do. I just want it to be fun. And this guy's fun. So, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, in Trilby, we trust.